How encouraged were you by the performance today? I know you were disappointed that we didn't win the game, but it was a very positive performance, you'd think.
Yeah, you can never be certain. I think on top of particularly the disappointment of losing on Thursday on penalties after such a good an impressive display. But the fact is, I suppose we getting beaten on penalties was tough for the players. I felt, and obviously with a long journey, and they got back at 6 a.m, and that was tough. And obviously losing a lot of players today on the day of the game, and the team changing so much was another a lot for the players to take in, really. And so they showed what they're made of and their character by going out and putting in a very good performance in a game against Wales, who've been riding high at the moment. So it was credit to the players for the way that they responded.
What are you going to do for the Finland game now, though? I mean, because of the positive test, are you concerned about the possibility of COVID being in your camp, in your bubble?
I don't know. Listen, obviously, because the test earlier in the week, as it's been confirmed, was a false positive. So that's the first COVID positive test was recorded late last night. So that was the first. So I think we'll just have to go on and get ourselves ready for Finland on Wednesday.
Will you be making call-ups? Will you have to?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Obviously, we were short players today on the bench, obviously, and then James McLean sending off. Rules out of the game against Finland, so we'll be addressing that in the next couple of hours, I think. And obviously we're bound by the fact that we have to have players in by a certain time because if they have COVID tests, and but to be ready for Finland.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Okay, Thomas Sniblock, BBC, are you there? Thomas, no. Nathan Murphy, Newstalk.
Hi, Stephen. Can you talk us through the last 24 hours, even since the press conference yesterday, as to how it all developed and how late in the day you knew the players weren't going to be available, that the 5 players were going to be available, and how difficult the last 24 hours has been for you and the management team?
Yeah, no doubt it has been difficult, but it all pales into insignificance for the players themselves, really. I think it's, obviously, to get news that you have it yourself, and then, for one of the players to get that, and then for the players to be close contact, which they all feel perfectly healthy. They all feel they could have played today, and, the implications of that for them. So that can be difficult for them to deal with their teammates not knowing, the impact of that. But I think so. It was all pretty. It was nearly close to midnight when we probably found out last night, and so it was had to change a lot of stuff today. And it was an early match, 2:00 match, so we're leaving the hotel early enough, I think. So it all had to be sort of sorted out before breakfast, and thankfully the players' attitude is just brilliant. Really good group. They just they love playing for Ireland, and they showed their professionalism by performing to the level that they did.
You ended up missing 7 players then today as a result of COVID-related issues, and you touched on it yesterday, but when you look back over the last week, do you think there's much else you could have done? Is there going to need to be a good period of reflection about how things were handled within the camp? No, I think listen, there's a lot of good people at the FAI, and I think a lot of professional people who are very professional, and ultimately I think
we lost 7 players, and James McCarthy obviously lost him today. We lost David McGoldrick, and then we lost the 3 players in the original squad. So there was wholesale changes really. We lost 3 centre halves today alone. We lost 2 in the morning, and then we lost Kevin Long after a short period of the game. So Matt Doherty came in and done brilliantly there. I think, so the players really, it just shows us a bit of depth to what we're doing at the moment. And I think I'm not saying the balance of the team was perfect today, but from an attacking point of view, I'm not saying everything was, but we lost a lot of pace, not available. Obviously, Callum O'Dowda, Callum Robinson, Aaron Connolly, David McGoldrick, from the other night, Alan Brown, who did well the other night, all missing. And plus other players, Adam White and so forth. So a lot of pace missing from the front line. But everyone who played today acquitted themselves really, really well. I thought overall we could have won the game. It was an evenly balanced game. I know there wasn't a lot of chances in the game. I don't remember Darren having to do too much in terms of making saves. He's a very composed goalkeeper. I think so. We had the better chances, and considering all of the 120 minutes, the flights, and everything else that went on, I think it speaks volumes to the players, really.
It feels as though international football has been a bit of a lottery over the past week, Stephen, because there have been so many cases, and you having 7 cases, and I think it feels there's going to be a bit of a fallout from all this when the players go back to their clubs as well. Would you be confident that international football can and should continue next month as well with the 3 matches, that with cases rising, with so much of an element of chance as to who gets it, who doesn't get it at the moment, that you don't know what players you're going to have before every match, it feels, at the moment? Would they be better off almost putting the international calendar on hold until next year and they've a better grasp on the situation?
Yeah, well, obviously I'm in the middle of just the camp, and I think it is an interesting question. I think I'm sure everything will be reviewed, and I'd have to think about the answer to give you a direct answer. I think it's one that I'd have to consider, think about, and ideally, you want life not to be interrupted. You want to be able to. Sport is very important. Football is the most participated sport in the country. The Irish national team is a very, very important part of Irish sport and life. And I think we don't want we don't want that to be diminished. We don't want it not to happen. But there are serious challenges. I'm sure there's a lot of anxiety. I'm sure with a lot of the clubs as well. And that will be, I'm sure that's something for everyone to consider.
Okay, Gavin Cooney, 42.
Hey Stephen, I'm sure your luck will turn at some point soon. Just related to the losing to the 4 lads as close contacts, we understand that happened on the flight. Could anything different have been done in that situation, or can it be done differently in the future to avoid it happening again, or is it just an occupational hazard of playing and travelling in a time of COVID?
I'm sure there's lots of things we can learn. It's all new territory really for everyone, and it is new territory. It's never existed. It's a new disease, and I think it's we're all learning, and I think it's something that we all have to consider and sit down and analyse at the end of the camp, and we can make decisions based on it.
Would you be making any changes or decisions in terms of the flight and the number of people travelling to Finland? We don't bring a high number of people. I think
You know, so it's something that we have to look at. We're going to have a meeting after this. You know, we have to look at everything, and so it's something that we have to consider.
And sorry, my last question is the obvious place for call-ups now is probably among the under-21 squad. You mentioned that the players have to be in time to do COVID tests. I assume that's tomorrow. Like, is it possible to get some of those guys in from Italy in time, or will you have to look elsewhere?
We lost 5, of course, and obviously we've lost James now as well, James McLean. So, yeah, we'll I think it's been sorted out in the next couple of hours, and we should be able to, once I find out the details exactly how things went, bearing in mind that we left early this morning from the hotel. Hopefully I should have more news in the next couple of hours on that.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay.
Thanks, Malcolm.
Thanks. We're going to move to daily section now, which is embargo. Emma Malone, do you want to start? Emma Malone there now. Paul Lennon, do you want to start?
Yes, sir. Hello, Stephen.
Hi.
Gary Owens was speaking earlier on about the fact that you would need multiple planes, which is obviously out of the question to start travelling around Europe. Is it possible at this even late hour to get a larger plane to travel? That might alleviate one of the problems. My second question is, with all so much possession again today for long spells of the match and all the good passing of the ball in good key areas, the lack of goals, how much of a concern still is that now? It's 1 goal now in the last number of games since you've been in charge. That was a problem that was there before you, of course.
Yeah, no, I think it's genuinely not something I'm concerned about. You know, I think the fact that we had to make an incredible amount of changes at short notice today and put in a performance like that was brilliant from the players. And I think you've seen the other night a lot of pace missing from the team with all of the changes I've mentioned already. I've mentioned the players already. I think it isn't something that concerns me really. I think today it wasn't easy with everything that went on. I think you do need probably you can't miss so many, and expect to be prolific, but with the team we had. But I think I do feel that we're achieving a lot, particularly in the game against Slovakia, and I just feel that with other players to come in as well, we're going to get better. I do definitely feel that, as people are understanding what we're working on, I do feel we're going to get better.
Okay. Philip Quinn.
Is that okay?
Yep. Philip Quinn. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I'm in here, Gareth. Yeah, Stephen, Gary Owens was on radio today at News Talk, off the ball, and he addressed some of your comments yesterday about the non-essential member of staff who took unwell, although it seems to have turned out that actually it was a false positive test. Do you kind of feel maybe that description was a little bit unfair on the FAI official, because you did say that it's a very good team, very professional team, and Gary says everybody on that plane was there for a reason, they had to do a job.
Yeah. What do you want me to say, Philip?
Well, you referred to the person who was tested positive, and then since it was a false positive, you referred to that person as being a non-essential.
Well, he wasn't taking the free
member of the travelling party.
He wasn't taking the free kicks. You know what I mean? But everyone is important. I treat everyone equally, and I've always had that situation. Everyone is important, so I don't have a hierarchy of how I treat people, and certainly that's not the issue. The point I'm making was he wasn't a player. He wasn't a player from that point of view. It was a late addition. But now Gary's right. Everyone is important. I've no issue with that. But it was it was a situation. You know, obviously I can't be breaching naming the person in question, because the person in question is a great guy. You know, and works very hard for the association. Really good person, who I have a very good relationship with. But that, I was just making the point that at the time he wasn't taking the free kicks.
Okay. Daniel McDonald.
Hi, Stephen. Stephen, at what point today did you actually know this was your starting team? I mean, how late in the day was it? And can I ask, was Jason Malumbi in it? And what was your view on his performance today?
Yeah, obviously picked the team before breakfast this morning. With the coaching staff, you know, Keith Andrews and Damien, Alan Kelly, Rudy Higgins. So yeah, picked the team, and you know, I don't actually. It wouldn't be fair for me to say what the team was and who exactly came in for who. But Jason's obviously someone that I regard highly, and you know, I do think that he has a lot of attributes that a midfielder needs, and he's impressed me with the under-21 team continuously. And obviously he played last month against Finland, but he was out of season. He did okay. He's playing right of a midfield 3. He's playing in midfield 2 today, and you know, he's a very natural footballer. He's very quick around the park. He's quite tenacious, and he has a range of passing. So he has a lot of good attributes.
Can I just ask, are Dara O'Shea and Jason Knight coming in? Are they two from the 21s potentially?
Right. Potentially, yeah. I mean, I just want to make sure. I've no idea. You know, we will confirm it later. But yeah, we're two that we're looking to bring in, because, as you see, centre half is an issue for me at the moment. We lost 2 this morning. Kevin went off with an eye injury. I'm not sure how that is, you know, at the moment. And Dara, the game in Finland is important for us, and so Dara is, and obviously with with Jason Knight as well, his versatility, I think would be important as well. So there are two that we're interested in. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Thanks.
We're going to finish with Neil O'Riordan, because I have Shane Duffy ready to go now as well after this. So Neil O'Riordan.
Stephen, just 2 things. Sorry, could I clarify? Did you learn of the positive test and the close contacts at the same time, or were they one after the other? If you know what I mean, like with a time lag.
Yeah, well, you learn about the positive test is first, and then the close contacts are later.
Was there much of a time lag between those?
Well, there probably was a bit, but not. You know, I think you know, those are not my decisions, or I'm not involved in any of that.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? That's the medical team look after that. You know, I suppose they've made decisions. In the best interests of the players, you know, I suppose, you know, really, I suppose that's what they made a decision. As a manager, that's not easy, but you have to respect it, you know, you know.
And had you named the team to the players before this came to light?
No, I hadn't actually.
Okay. Sorry, one last one. You know, between injuries and COVID, there were 12 players from your initial squad missing. We think it's the first time in 45 years that you had a starting 11 born in Ireland, which is some statistic. Does that give you, with all that's gone on? I mean, there was a positive there in terms of a positive result. 11 players born in Ireland against all that's gone on over the past week.
I actually didn't realise that, Neil, to be honest. I actually hadn't realised that. I normally wouldn't, you know, but no, it's not something that, and I don't
I know
really,
it's not factored in, but to your thinking.
no,
about
no, I don't distinguish really between Irish born and non-Irish born, but I think if, you know, I think, because as you see, I was very eager to bring back James McCarthy, Harry Arthur, and several other players. So I think it's not something that I'd even realise, to be honest. Now that you pointed it out, but it's just the way it worked out, really. You know, I think it's just the way it worked out. But I think it's good to see players like Jason Malumbi coming through the Irish system, you know, because we've had a number of years of players not coming through, you know, and obviously in the last month with Jason, Aaron Connolly and Adam coming into the team, having come through all the international teams and stepping up, and there's more on the way, you know, as you say, Darrell O'Shea and Jason Knight and players like that. So they're all very good players, all very good attitude and technically very good. So it's so there is some you know, that's